Indeed, me live. Hello, people. Welcome to another stream. I am just trying to get a good angle for you all. I'm streaming horizontal so I can have the phone charging, which is quite a cool thing. And I never knew how to do this, and it used to say like change the horizontal mode or change the landscape mode or whatever, the rotation mode, and I'd never know how to do it. So I just looked up a quick video and it was right in front of me all along. So I'm glad I can now do it because it's good. It means that like when my phone is low and I want to do a stream, I can do a stream while the phone is charging. So welcome back to another stream. Today I thought I would do a little bit of a work update stroke, kind of like a wrap for my work this year. So for those of you who may or may not be aware, I've spoken about this a couple of times on the channel. My work outside of like the DJ and stuff and all the other music stuff I'm doing is actually a music related job. And I work for a big organisation in Hull called the Goodwin Development Trust, and they're a big charity stroke funded organisation that offer a whole range of different projects, from maths to English to housing to getting people back into work to teaching foreign people to speak English to doing like arts and video games, from video games to doing music projects. And one of the things I do is I work on like the arts, the video games, and the music stuff. So I mainly work on the music stuff. That is kind of like the main thing for me that I do within the job role. But I do because like the arts and the music. So like we share the same office basically. So me and another person who mainly does the video game stuff, we kind of share the whole like same office, and it is under what is called the Youth Arts Takeover. So I run a music project that is kind of like so it's kind of like, so you've got this big tree, which is the Goodwin Development Trust, and then you've got all these branches that go off of this tree, and then you've got these smaller branches. So you've got like the main Goodwin, you've got the Youth Arts Takeover, and then off of the Youth Arts Takeover, you've got like smaller branches of like other projects that happen within the Youth Arts Takeover. And basically, the project that I mainly run, the music stuff, is within the Youth Arts Takeover. So it would be in that kind of like branch, if you like, or it would branch off that branch. So I speak about this a little bit on the channel. I don't do it all the time because you know, it's my work. It's not always the like. In all honesty, I do a very kind of fun and interesting job. I would say 90% of the time. But it's a job. It's still a job at the end of the day. And there is still times where you've got to write things up, or you've got to fill forms out, or you've got to do paperwork, so to speak. So it's not always like I've got something amazingly interesting to report. But I do this like really cool, amazing job that I've spoke a few times on the channel about how I got this job. Basically, I'll just give you the short description. So I got sent to the Goodwin via the job centre to go on one of their projects to help me get back into work. Through that, we worked on like confidence and building things up, and they got to know me, they got to know who I am. So they knew that I was like a keen musician, I was a DJ, and essentially it was coming towards the end of my time on the project where I had to start attending what was called Job Club, and it was just basically, right, you've done everything with us now, it's time to actually get you to start looking and, you know, and applying for work and hopefully actually get you a job. I think I went to about one job club. I think I went to one job club where basically I just went once, and then shortly after that I got told basically that there was a job going. It was a music related job in that building for that company, and they thought it would be right up my street. And I was like, proper, like, well, yeah, it's a music related job, let's go for it. Unfortunately, I at first was unsuccessful, so I interviewed for the job and I became unsuccessful. And then, basically, to cut the story short, two people got the job, and one of those people very quickly decided that the job wasn't for them, and that they didn't actually want to do that job. The role became available, and I got offered the role about 2 years ago. And then I was working in the role alongside somebody else who I actually, in all fairness, I enjoyed working with the person. I really felt like working with him was really good. It had its ups and its downs. He wasn't always the most reliable person, but we got some good work done together. And then, unfortunately, just over a year ago, he left the role. He left us in the summer of 2023 to basically go to another job that was paying more. And I ended up staying because what I work for, it's like a funded project. So like every so often the funding runs out depending what funding they get and how long they get the funding for. But my funding was still good for quite a while at that point. I think I still had a good 3 or 4 months of funding still, and there was hope that some more funding was to come available that would see me into 2024, which it did. So I stayed in the role, and I kind of I kind of took on and began just leading the whole project but kind of by myself. Like, I had support, but like when the person I was working with left, they didn't apply, they didn't reach out, they didn't put an advert out for somebody else to get the job. They basically just sort of let me continue running everything, which I'm not gonna lie, it's been a challenge. It's been a really exciting challenge for me, and now I kind of do feel as if I am starting to find my feet with things, and that I am, so to speak, starting to really sort of understand my purpose in the role a hell of a lot more now, and really getting the hang of doing things by myself as opposed to doing things with somebody else kind of really working with me. So currently at the moment, I more or less, like, I run about probably 90% of the project, and then there is another person called Dave who is now a part of the project, but he works on another project at Goodwin as well. So he only kind of helps out on a couple of things. He basically runs one of our music sessions with us, and I think after Christmas, the project that he's kind of working on, which is kind of like, it gets people almost like on like paid placements to get like work experience. On a placement called Create to Change, which I was on when I first sort of started working with Goodwin. It was kind of like a 6 week like placement that was to basically, it was to take me like, I don't know, it was kind of to take me from August or something through into October or something. But then there was scope for funding to take me to the end of December, and then the job went, and then it went on from there in as a proper job. But he kind of does that, and then that has now kind of, it takes a break for a little while, and they don't open up these placements. So he's kind of going to help a little bit onto some of our onto more like of the music stuff, and he's going to help in terms with some of the funding, I think. So, but apart from that, I about 90% of the time run the project. So for those of you who don't know, the project is a networking project that is aimed at 16 to 24 year olds, and basically It's all about how do we improve music in the city of Hull? How do we get people to kind of engage and tell us what they think is missing within the music scene in Hull? How do young artists like progress and take that next step? How do they get further? So the whole large scale point of the whole project is to get feedback from young people on their thoughts of how we can help improve music in the city, and it's a chance for them to kind of have their say and potentially change music in the city for the better. So opportunities for young people, they have a chance to say what they think is missing. So a big part of it is we run what is called network meetings, where they're kind of like meetings, but they're more like events. They've turned more into events now, and essentially we put a night on that is kind of disguised as like a party, because if you kind of just, I guess, bore it down to a network meeting, it kind of puts people off wanting to come, because people think networking, writing things down, it's boring. Whereas if you cover it up and you have a little bit of a kind of like, a party going on, but at the same time you get people to just fill out a feedback form, it kind of works a bit better, because they're kind of coming to an event, they're enjoying live music. So what we do is we network across the city. We hunt and we scout for like young musicians. It can be like young bands, it can be like young solo singers, it can be rappers, it can be DJs, it can be anybody really with like a musical skill that wants to progress further as an artist. And essentially we hunt, and if we feel like they fit what we're looking for, and then we give them performance opportunities at these networking meetings. So we're showcasing young and local talent. We're giving people a chance to come and feedback, and then we're also giving like free food and drink at the events and stuff. So we used to run these networking meetings when my friend was on, well, my other work colleague who kind of became a friend, was on the project. And then the funding, we lost a little bit of funding, and we couldn't afford to do the events on the scale that we was doing them on. So everything kind of died down a little bit on the events side of things, and the whole kind of like meeting stopped. And in all honesty, like looking back now, I feel like I'm kind of glad that they did. Because when we used to do them, it was my other work colleague. He was kind of like the main guy, and he kind of knew what to do. And I kind of almost felt like a little bit like I was just in the background helping him out. And essentially, I like he would, I would just help out basically, and he kind of knew what he was doing. And sometimes I felt a little bit like he'd undercut me, and like he would like, we'd be like in the pipeline of putting the next event on, and then he'd just like, before you know it, he's like, oh, I've got a poster done for it, and I didn't really, in some sense, get much chance and say in doing that kind of thing, so it kind of stopped. Which kind of, in sense, it kind of ended the work that he had done. So we kind of had this little break where there wasn't really much going on in terms of meetings. And then Christmas last year, I put like a Christmas party on, and it was a Christmas party to celebrate our music lab session, which is a free music workshop that we do every Monday in the Polar Bear in Hull. It was like a little party. It was a celebration, and it was a good little party. I seem to remember that it wasn't too bad. I can't fully remember, but it wasn't a bad little party that I remember. And we had a good little vibe, and we had some pizzas and stuff. It was quite a cool thing. And then we moved into 2024. And I believe in kind of like February, March time, I then launched the new editions of what we call the meetings now, which is they're called the Social Jam. So essentially, it's like a social networking talking event, but there was like a jam sort of element to it. So when we first started it, we were still kind of lacking on funding. So basically, to cut the story short, we basically used a room inside a youth centre, and we jammed in a little group, and we jammed in a little circle. We gave out some snacks and drinks, and then people could still feedback. And basically, I grew the social jam to what it is now. What this was one of the reasons why I wanted to stream as well, because I've grown this social jam, these networking meetings, and they've gone tremendously well. And I'm really proud of the outcome. I'm proud of what I've achieved with these social jams. I'm really pleased of how everything has gone, and it's been a real buzz. So they started, like I said, the first social jam was in a room, in a youth centre, and we had we had my good friend Layman, he did a guest speak, so he guest spoke, and we had a little bit of a jam. And I'm not going to be all that honest with you. Not many people turned up. There was probably about 7 or 8. I think, but there was a couple that kind of weren't really interested, and they kind of filtered in and out of the room. And for that point, it wasn't too bad because it was only a small room. We wasn't expecting like something where you'd get like 30 people down. But we were kind of hoping that we'd maybe get like, maybe 10 or 11. Which we didn't, unfortunately. But it wasn't like horribly bad, but it wasn't the best at the same time. Then we did another one. We did a second one, which nobody turned up really. There was hardly anybody this time. There was just a couple of people that had turned up. There was another guy that had turned up. And no one had really turned up, and it wasn't really, in all honesty, it wasn't really the best event. And I was a little bit like, maybe we've got to kind of sit back and look how we approach this. And then we got some money, and we moved the events back into a live venue. We started putting musicians and things on, and we did the social jam. I'm trying to remember which one we did, because it's been such a journey. But I can't remember how many we did. I'm trying to try and remember how many we did. For some reason, I've lost my hotspot, so I'm just going to put it back on. But I'm trying to remember like how many we did. I'm trying to remember like what we did for the social jams, but we moved it to the Polar Bear, and I think we did a little bit of I can't remember if it was like a summer showcase, but we did something. It was good. We did something quite good. For some reason, my internet doesn't want to. Can I not? For some reason, I can't put the hotspot on. Is that because I'm streaming? That is pretty mad. Well, I can't remember, but we did a social jam, and we moved it to the Polar Bear. And basically, when we moved it to the Polar Bear, the event just started like rising and rising. So we did one at the Polar Bear, and it wasn't really all that too bad, to be honest with you. And it was really good. And we had Sunflower Dave down. He was doing some like saxophone stuff. We had Music Lab perform. We didn't have the biggest amount of numbers, I'm not gonna lie, but we started to get like more numbers. So I think like at that one there was probably around 13 to 14 people, which was a little bit of a rise, which we were kind of happy about. Then we did Social Jam 4, which was the last one. I believe it was. And well, not the last one, but the one before. And we had DJ Healy, Lily Healy, as a guest speaker. We had some more live music, which was really good. And we had probably our biggest numbers in event to date. So we had like a really good and positive, and you could see that everything was moving in the right direction. So we had a really, really good event. It was really enjoyable. We had a DJ on who did some showcasing, and we had a really, really cool time. We had a really fun vibe, and again, I think this time we had around just over 20 people this time. I think we were sort of around the 20 to 25 people mark, which for one of these meetings is quite good numbers, to be fair. Really really good. People were starting to know that these things were happening. Things were starting to really take a step up in the right direction, which was really good. And then we move on to the most recent one, which I ain't gonna lie to you, like, it is by far the best one that I've ever put on. It is by far the best vibe that we've ever had, and it is by far, just for me, the most excited I've been about putting one on. Like, I just got the feeling that like leading up to the event, like the social media, I'm not gonna lie to you, like the social media like isn't that good. A lot of people don't interact with the page. We put posts on the page, and I mean, I don't know if I do everything right by the book. Like, maybe I could write things better, maybe I don't do the best posts on there, I'm not really sure. But we don't get the best vibe online. Like, the online's on there, but it's a little bit slow. It gets the odd like and share. A few things don't do too bad, and some things just don't really get many people liking or sharing event pages and stuff. I try to do the best sort of thing that I can. With this event, I decided that it was time to really go even further with the promotion, and it was time to start really taking things to the next level in terms of like how we do things. So I decided that it was time to start making like little profile pictures for artists, to try and get the artists more engaged. They're trying to get the artists to post more that they were going to be performing at this event and things. We invited some other organisations to come down and have some tables and show what they offer. Not gonna lie, that didn't go down as well as I wanted it to, but on the night, absolutely wicked. But I thought more people would have like wanted to come down and kind of like showcase what they do. But unfortunately, I just had a lot of contacted a lot of people that didn't reply. So in the end, one other organisation came down, which is probably the one I wanted to come down the most, because I work a lot with them. I like what they do, and I think it's really good to have them involved. And I think what they're kind of doing the work for is so important. So for me, it was kind of like, yeah, that to have them down was amazing. But it would have been nice to have had some like other people down. So I just tried to do a little bit more, and just tried to push it out a little bit more and hype it up a bit more. And we had the event on Monday. We had our biggest numbers to date. We had the best event to date. And the feedback that I've had in terms of like from people that came to the event, from people that heard about the event, from people that performed at the event, to other people I work with, is just absolutely amazing. It's like really made me, when sometimes you kind of think like, why do I do this? And then you get that bit of good news, and it's kind of like that, this is why I do it, because you're making people happy. And so we put this event on, and it was our Music Lab Christmas party again, but it was like our Social Jam 5. Which is, it's our Christmas party. So we went a little bit bigger because it was Christmas. We're having a little bit of a celebration. So So two bands performed, two solo singers performed, two rappers performed, and two DJs performed. So there was two of everything. So one of the bands was the Music Lab band. So they showcase what they do on their, what we do on our project and what the project is about, and they perform live, and it gives sometimes people that come to that session, it's their first time doing a gig or doing like a live performance, and they did it really, really, they did it really well. It's really good for them because it's all about like confidence building. It was really good. Then we had another band on called Affliction. They're like a young upcoming band, and they play like really kind of like heavy metal, really like rocky, really screamo, real proper heavy death metal, real heavy, the type of band you'd put on later on in the night because, they follow the vibe. And they absolutely tore the roof down. We put two really good solo singers on. One of them has just released their first solo single, which is a Christmas song, and really good singers doing really, really well. And then the other guy called Roland, the guy who released, the person who released the Christmas single, Jazz Hancock's, absolutely smashed it, and then Roland also nailed it as well. And then I put a couple of rappers on, stroke MCs, chavas, whatever you want to call them, people that kind of want to spit like the Bad Boy Chiller crew, but they spit some really good raps, and they spit about like almost like they spit about truth, but there's none of this like, yeah, I like to get wasted, I like to take drugs. It was kind of more like like I'm putting myself on a better path. It was almost like coming from a bad place to a better place, and it's almost like the positivity of how they've kind of got into this like music and how they're using it as a positive, and it's been really good. And they did really, really well. They absolutely smashed it. And then I had myself DJing, and I invited my good friend Joe Dunn down to do a DJ set as well, which was a really, really good thing. And I was proper buzzed to do that, to have him on, and to have him a part of, to have him a part of, what we do with the events and stuff like that. And going to be absolutely fantastic. So so basically, to cut the story short, we had a really, really good event. So we had our biggest numbers. So we had between 30 and 40 people, which is really good for one of our events, because they're not as such like, it's not as such like going out on a weekend, and it's not as such, it's not really, let's cram the venue as full as we can cram it. It's about having the right amount of people there, and it's about like some of the artists doing their first ever gigs. It's also about like people like showcasing the talent in the city, and it's about the networking. It's not just about, it's not as such putting an event on and trying to fill the polar bear and trying to get as many heads in as possible. It's more about having that right vibe, and like we offer the free food, so it's like people who feel like it would be beneficial to them to come to one of these events if they want to network, not somebody as such who just wants to come out and have a party. Although with it being Christmas, we did kind of say, look, it's just a bit more of a party, so come down. Although we do, like it is open for for as many people to come as possible. And if the polar bear did absolutely ram, it wouldn't be like the worst thing in the world. It'd be far from that. But it is one of them really, really good vibes of, the amount of numbers we had, it made the polar bear look busy, and everybody just enjoyed themselves. And yeah, so basically, I got an email today, and there was a guy who turned up to the event. Now the guy is a big deal. The guy is one hell of a big deal. So the guy is called Clive, and he is basically the owner of the whole entire organization that I work for. So I don't see him. I don't really see him much. He's a bit too high up for for what I really do. He owns the whole company. So like I've got like two sort of basically I've got like two managers in my job. So I've got my main manager who I kind of have all the catch up meetings with, and he kind of like he basically overlooks our project. And then there's like a wider manager who kind of works in the building that I work in, the Goodwin and stuff, and he kind of like is a manager kind of like of that building, and like he manages like some like overall bigger things. But then he like his manager or his actual boss is the guy who runs the whole organization. So he's kind of my boss as well, because like he owns the whole entire building, and he I suppose he has the final say. But like my other managers, they have the right to do certain things, and I have meetings with them. Not really the guy who runs the place. So he came to the event, which was for me. It actually really put me on edge over the night. I'm not gonna lie, because I know how much of a big deal this guy is, because he owns the whole company. And basically, he came to the event, and I got a really nice email off him today, which basically was stating of how proud he was of how well I'd done the event, and the hard work that I'd put in to make the event a success. And just how he applauded me and said that I have a bright future. So it really, like when you're just having a little bit of a, like, and it was really that, it's we're right near Christmas, and it's like that push, and then you get that kick of like, do you know what, like what you did there was really good, and you get that really like positive attitude to the whole sort of situation, of him saying like how proud he was. It really made me feel good, and it made me want to do this stream, because I felt like, do you know what, I feel like I've really done well with the whole Youth Music Network and the project, and I feel really proud. I feel like I've really turned it into something. Not only the events, but our music lab sessions have been like absolutely amazing. We've been having like 13 to 14 people sometimes attending the sessions like every week, which is really good. We never have less than 8 people in a session, which is really good. Loads of people to engage with, loads of people to make music with, loads of people to have fun, and it's really good that we have this. It's a really, really vital thing, and I just feel like everything's gone so well, and just to get reminded that you've done really well is a really, really good thing. So with that being said, that is going to do it for this stream, because I have got one hellish of a busy day tomorrow. I am literally, we have a works Christmas party, and then we've got the gig with Friday Night Posse in the evening, which I'm really looking forward to. And before you know it, it will be this time tomorrow, and everything will be all over. And I will have done my set in Babylon. The Christmas party will have been and happened. I'll be off work for 3 weeks. I've got some Christmas shopping left to do, and it's just nearly over. But tomorrow is going to be really exciting. I'm really looking forward to it. So with that being said, make sure to like, comment, share, all of that good stuff, and we'll see you soon.